I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours just out by myself in dark places, watching, waiting for the light, waiting for things to happen.
That's photographer Grant Sheehan.
If you're going to stand under the stars for hours and hours and look at the Milky Way rising, unless you're brain dead, there's no way that you're not going to be inspired and awed. It just has a massive effect on you.
Film director Robin Greenberg was so inspired by Sheehan's work that she made a documentary film about him titled Grant Sheehan, Light, Ghosts and Dreams. It's currently being shown at this year's New Zealand International Film Festival, and here is Robin Greenberg to tell us about Grant Sheehan and how she made this film.
Grant Sheehan is, I think, well known for his photography, for his publishing, but I feel under-celebrated in New Zealand for the brilliance of his work.
That happens often. People from here do well overseas, but you don't get the love here at home. So why is that with him, do you think?
I think probably best if he could comment on that, but from, but from my perspective, having met Grant back in 2003, I was looking for an office space to rent in Wellington and was lucky enough to end up in his studio, in a corner of his studio. So from that time, I became a huge fan and appreciator of the artistry of his work, the work ethic, and so some years later,
what is the art that he makes, and why did you decide that you needed to make a movie about it?
Yeah, for me, I have always had a love of photography and appreciation of it, and so there's something about his images that are just special, and it's hard for me to maybe articulate that, and but it's not just his photography, it's also his ability to be at the cutting edge of the ever-changing technology. And over the years, especially when his book Ghosts in the Landscape came out, which was an award-winning black and white book, that was the moment, some years after we originally met, that I felt there's a film that has to be made.
Right.
And fast forward many more years, we have the film.
Great. All right, so tell me about making the film. So did you have a specific idea in mind of how you wanted it to look and feel and sound before you went in, or was it kind of, let's see what happens and let's see what we end up with?
I think for me, Marty, every film is its own unique world, and trying to match that incredible level of excellence that Grant aspires to in all his work was a fabulous creative challenge for me. How do I, as a filmmaker, match that incredible standard? So I loved every minute of that challenge.
Right.
And I think the vision for me about allowing his imagery to really shine went hand in hand in the creation of a score that could help to accompany and elevate that. So
cool.
That was always at the heart of this film, was the use of music as part of accompaniment and experiencing it.
Right.
Yes.
So tell me about the music then.
So from the music side, we're so fortunate that we have this team of incredible composers. Firstly, lead composer is Grant Sheehan, who happens to be Grant's son.
Of course.
And whom has contributed to music for my film Hulu in the past. So we already had that relationship around the music. And Rian was incredibly generous towards this film. I think the film really wouldn't exist, particularly without Rian, because the style and the different diversity of his music was so well suited to accompany his father's imagery. In addition, though, because the breadth of Grant's work is so wide-ranging and diverse, I needed diverse music.
Right.
So as part of the team came on board Tian Singh, who's Wellington-based jazz-trained musician who is exceptionally talented, and Tian wrote original music for a number of scenes in the film. And thirdly, my oldest music collaborator, who's based in the States, Jim Kimo West, who's Grammy Award winner, contributed music to this film that again just gives it the incredible diversity that I think celebrates the range of Grant's imagery and life story. So
cool.
We had a lot of fun.
So probably helped that you'd already used his son in his music, but how did you get Grant himself to feel comfortable with your vision for the film Was there some give and take? Was there some discussion going on between you and he?
Yeah, well, this film really evolved over many years, and even when I was renting a corner of his studio, I was also working on a film at that time. So he saw me at work, I saw him at work.
Right.
But it wasn't until many years later that we really started to look at that. But I think creatively we're very simpatico, and I think whenever you make a film, the people, particularly your main character, it's a lot of trust and respect involved, I think. And I think we had that from the start, and it was a really joyful process of collaborating and trying to, I look at a film almost like a sculpture, where you create that material and then it's a process of sculpting it down to what it's meant to be, to get to the essence. So in the case of Grant, where, I mean, there's literally tens of thousands of photos. You know, how do you go at that? Yeah, and so that was a really fun process of his, pre-selecting his favorites to do around certain themes, and then going through that and fine-tuning that together, sometimes asking for more because I could squeeze more in, but the excitement was to see how long we could hold images on the screen, thanks to the music and some stories that are interspersed throughout. So it was really a awesome creative collaboration, I think, all around. And the music just worked because I love working with music, and in my mind, I knew what I wanted and had a lot of great input too from editor Kyle Awa in Wellington. It's his first feature, so we had a fabulous time. Yeah.
And you had the world premiere in Wellington, right?
Yes, thanks to Whanau Marama, New Zealand International Film Festival. We had a really fabulous world premiere sold out in Wellington on Sunday, and it's been great to have our Auckland premiere today, and really looking forward to tomorrow, Saturday, screening here.
So. I'm sure you were there at the premiere, and did you watch the audience? Were you kind of interested in how they were reacting to things? Was it tense? Was it exciting? Was it a joyful thing? How was it for you?
Well, I think when we look back now, it was very joyful because the film had a fantastic reception, but particularly because we've been so fortunate to get acceptance into the festival, and then really needed to get to that deadline in time. So I feel like I was really watching the film for the first time in its completed state in the fabulous Roxy Cinema. And I like sitting way back in the cinema on the end, not in the middle, and just gauging everything. And so I think it is very exciting listening, watching that audience and seeing that people laugh in all the right places.
Oh yes, that's always good.
All
and
that,
not in
all
the
that
wrong places.
and just a sense of appreciation that and interest, and finding that it moves people in different ways, just as evidenced through the Q&As. But time will tell. The conversation around the film.
So it sounds like you had great people you're working with and work around and making the movie with, but still, it's a lot of work. Money has to be involved in that and all that. So what was the hardest part of getting this film made for you?
Well, I think probably you can relate to this in your extraordinary, line of work and service, and giving us this opportunity for the interview. But funding, I think maybe every artist in New Zealand, whatever the discipline, would say the same. I would like to say that I hope in the future that it'll get easier. This is my 8th film, and it hasn't got easier yet, but I'm a really positive person, and I live in... after 7. I live in hope, but I think that a film like this that has all of the qualities of being something a bit special, a bit different, Wellset comes close to ticking the box for our funding organizations. It's a little bit too different to tick those boxes. And I hope in the future that we'll be taking more chances, so that we leave a legacy of films that are very different from one another and not all the same. And I'm proud of this film, that creatively we held to our vision, that I believe that it will sing out as something a little bit outside the box.
So what drives you to make films? It's obviously not the money.
Hard to put a finger on these sorts of things, isn't it? I think it's really my passion, and it can only be because one can't stop, even though there's no viability financially to survive. So, but it's something that I love to do, and I think.
So when you were growing up, were you like watching films and going, "Oh, I'd love to do that"? How do you do that? I mean, were you inspired? Were you influenced?
I think always I remember having that interest in photography, and then and having my dad having a Super 8 camera when I was little. But I think over time I had a lot of different interests. I was going to be a doctor, and then I thought I was just called in myself to film, and I didn't go to film school. I have always done things maybe a little bit differently, and I think I could relate to Grant and Grant Sheehan's story, who self-taught. I can't say that I was self-taught. I did a variety of things, but I love that idea of just, you know, forging the road and the vision. And in Grant's case, his phenomenal ability to not just keep up with technology, but to keep kind of pushing the bounds of things.
Right.
Yeah, and I think I could really relate to that. And for so many years that it takes to make a film, you know, that filming and then trying to take care of that filming in all the years and trying to finish it, you know, you realize the responsibility around that, and then that joy that comes in this finishing process, as stressful as it is, and again the financial bit, but that's the part where everybody else gets to contribute to part of the vision, and I love that aspect and creativity. I think only film can do that, because Grant will say how powerful, and I understand and I agree with him on a certain level, you know, how powerful a still is, and that nothing can match a still photograph in terms of its endurance through time of power. But film in another way speaks to me of the combination of the visual, of the music, the audio, the feeling, and that excites me. So I'm glad that I could try my best to have, you know, bring out the essence of who Grant is to me, and as I think to the world, in terms of the legacy that he's leaving with his work and vision.
So you're thinking about film number 9?
Always.
And how far along are you there?
Early stages, and something that, you know, fast forward 4 or 5 years and I'll be back, Marty.
Okay. Oh my God.
Wish it were sooner, but I'm becoming a pragmatist.
Yeah, we understand the process anyway. Very good. Well, it's great that the film festival has taken up your film and putting it in front of people. So you're going to be, tomorrow morning it's showing again, and then where else is it?
That's right, tomorrow 11:15 at the Academy. Then it's going on to Hamilton, Dunedin, Christchurch, and Nelson, which is Grant's birthplace. So he'll be present for the Q&A there. I won't be. I can only go where the festival might give me some help to get to. So, so that's Auckland, and then I will be in Christchurch, and really looking forward to that, because that's my first home in New Zealand, and where my cinematographer John Christoffels is based. So I really want to sing out to him for the fabulous work and the great fun that we had, and to my child, who as a tiny team of 4 traveled around during the pandemic to capture the core of this footage around Aotearoa. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming up and telling me all this. Is fantastic. And hopefully the film does everything that you want it to do and gets the reaction that everybody wants. It'd be great.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Marty.
You.